Now this race had been on my list for a very long time. I was thinking that if I got everything right, I was going to get over 160 kilometres for this race. But I really wanted to come away from the race feeling like I had given it my all. I had done what was required to get the best out of myself for the race. And with that, I did expect to run further than I ever had before. I didn't train as much as probably many people would think to run for 24 hours. I averaged about 80 kilometres per week. I didn't go crazy with the long runs. Instead, I focused on finding the right rhythm and technique that I hoped would carry me through.
I know you've got to go away and do your last minute preparation, so I'd like to welcome everyone to Coburg.
I was expecting to be quite nervous as I got myself ready for the race. On the morning, as I put out my equipment, as I got my aid station ready, and when I lined up for the start. But I wasn't nervous. I was more excited than anything.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the plan was simple. Keep the intensity low, have it feeling easy, and take a walking lap or similar about every 30 minutes. The pace itself, I wasn't overly concerned with what it was. It was just going to be a byproduct of running with good technique and keeping the intensity low and comfortable. I wanted to feel like I was running properly. Over the first few hours of the race, that definitely worked. I had in my plan to just maintain that for 12 hours. The last few hours of the race, just give it what I had. These things, they don't all go to plan. For the first half of the race, my nutrition went right to plan. I was getting in about 70 to 75 grams of carbohydrate per hour with a mix of homemade gels, some Morton gels, a couple of Cliff bars, bulk nutrients, Sports Fuel 101 drink, which was a mixture of carbohydrates, electrolytes, and a small amount of protein in there. I had a small patch around 10 or 11 hours in where things seemed to be not processing quite as well, so I just backed off on the sports drink, drank a little bit more water, gave myself a bit of time, and slowed down for that hour. And that seemed to get everything on track. After I got really cold, I wasn't able to process the food at the same rate. So I had to reduce my intake. And looking back, I was getting in about 50 grams of carbohydrate per hour, and that seemed to work. At least for the first few hours, like I'm talking the first 4 to 5 hours, my mental state was enjoyment. I was really enjoying the run itself. Conditions were quite nice, even though they were wet. They weren't too cold at that point. Once I started getting beyond 9 hours, as I hit 10, I could feel the discomfort or the pain in my legs and feet a bit then, but I wasn't too concerned. Now the biggest challenge for me in this race was the rain and the cold. It didn't take long before it started raining, and for the first few hours it was quite pleasant. It was a light rain, the temperature wasn't cold, and it was fine. I was really enjoying it. It was actually really good weather for running in. I have Raynaud's, so when I get cold I sometimes lose the blood supply to my hands. During the race, it kicked in hard. I was flipping between feeling really, really hot for a few minutes or 10 minutes or so, then feeling extremely cold, particularly a bit after 1 a.m. after I was 13 hours into the race. I really couldn't maintain my body temperature. Things started shutting down. Stomach started shutting down. I wasn't able to take in my food properly anymore. I knew it was just sitting there. I had to do something to fix this. But then the weather turned. We had a quarter of the track where at times in the race we were running through ankle deep water. The real problem was, with the rain, with the exertion, I got cold, and I got really cold. I went to my car, hopped in, turned the heater up on full, blasted the fan, and I got myself really hot, trying to reverse that hypothermia that was starting to set in. And I had to do this 3 times during the race. First time it took over half an hour to get my hands back in check and feeling like I could keep going. Maintaining a temperature that was safe, well, that was my biggest challenge during the Coburg 24-hour. I got into that headspace where I was convincing myself that I was being too soft by taking that time out. So once I was back out there again after 2 stints of re-warming, I delayed the next one and I just kept pushing through it, and I got extra cold again, and it took me way longer to warm up and cost me way more distance in the race itself. Motivation wasn't an issue for at least the first half of the race. I just went out there and I ran and I followed the plan. I didn't think too much about it. Had some chats with the other runners. It was reasonably social, but I also enjoyed the time just running, being in the process, kind of a moving meditation. After having to re-warm in the car, I could see hitting 160 kilometres slipping away from me. I definitely had to fight some urges where I just, I don't know, give up because I wasn't going to make that distance and kind of just walk. And that's why one of my goals was to come away from this race feeling like I gave it my all during it. Now I may have made mistakes, and I did. I lost a lot of distance. I knew if I kept pushing, if I kept making myself run, then I'd come away happy. I was absolutely stoked because I came away feeling like I had pushed myself. One of the other great things about this race is the people. Tim, the race director, sets up an amazing event. Brett from Trails Plus, the volunteers, all the supporters, people coming down to watch, spectate, crew runners, the encouragement, the support out there. It is a real community, and your fellow runners. So thanks for joining me on this journey. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer, and I'll break some things down a bit more in other videos. I'll go through the nutrition a bit more. I'll have a look back at the training, and we'll see what we need to do to be able to run faster and further next time. Keep on running.